What if? The little things you've been brushing off, the forgotten names, the misplaced keys, the moments of confusion, weren't just signs of getting older, but early warnings your brain is asking for help. Dementia doesn't begin with a bang. It whispers, quietly, gently, through patterns we often ignore until they become a problem we can no longer deny. But here's the good news. The earlier we recognize those whispers, the more power we have to slow things down, to protect memory, preserve independence, and give our minds the support they deserve. In today's video, we're going to walk through the 10 most important warning signs of dementia and how to tell the difference between normal aging and something more serious. This is not about fear, it's about awareness. And it's about hope. A senior woman looking calmly into the distance, soft light on her face, floating icons, eye awareness, heart, hope, solid muted lavender background for emotional calmness. Because you are not powerless, there are steps you can take, starting today. So let's start with a simple but important question. What is dementia, really? Dementia isn't just one disease, it's an umbrella term used to describe a group of symptoms that affect memory, thinking, and daily functioning. These changes happen because brain cells are damaged and can no longer communicate properly. The most common form of dementia is Alzheimer's disease. But there are others too, like vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and frontotemporal dementia. Each has its own patterns. But they all share one thing in common. They gradually steal away the mind. Now, here's something important to understand. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. Yes, it's true that as we get older, we may forget things once in a while. We may walk into a room and forget why we're there. That's normal. But dementia is different. It interferes with your daily life. It keeps getting worse over time. And it affects how you connect with others, manage tasks, and take care of yourself. That's why recognizing the signs early matters so much, because the sooner we understand what's happening, the sooner we can act. And in the next section, we'll look at the 10 most important early signs that your brain may already be asking for help. The first and most common warning sign of dementia is memory loss that starts to interfere with daily life. We all forget things from time to time. That's normal. But this is different. This is forgetting important events, asking the same question over and over, relying more and more on notes, reminders, or even loved ones, just to get through the day. It might start with something small, like missing an appointment or forgetting why you walked into a room, but over time, it becomes more frequent, more noticeable. You may begin to forget things you just heard or conversations you just had. You might misplace objects, not just once, but regularly, and in places that don't make sense, like your keys in the fridge or your wallet in the laundry basket. Even worse, you may not remember that you forgot. This kind of memory loss is a quiet signal from your brain telling you that something may be wrong. And if this sounds familiar, in yourself or someone you love, it's not something to ignore, because catching it early means you still have time to slow the process and protect the life you love. Another early warning sign of dementia is having trouble with planning or solving problems, especially things that used to be simple. Maybe you always handled the bills, the taxes, or followed recipes by heart, but now, numbers feel confusing. Simple steps feel overwhelming. You might struggle to concentrate, to follow instructions, even if they're familiar. You might find it harder to track monthly expenses or manage a grocery list. Some people notice it while cooking. They skip steps in a recipe, forget ingredients, or can't remember what comes next. Even in meals they've made for years. It's not just being distracted. It's a deeper kind of fog, one that makes everyday tasks feel slower, more frustrating, and less natural. And it's not about intelligence, it's about how the brain organizes information, how it processes logic and makes decisions. When dementia begins to affect these areas, things that used to be easy can suddenly feel unfamiliar. If you or someone you love is experiencing this, don't brush it off. Your brain is sending a message, and listening early can make all the difference. One of the quiet but important signs of dementia is struggling to complete tasks that used to feel routine. We all have habits, things we've done so many times we barely think about them, like driving to a friend's house, setting the table, using the remote, or getting dressed in the right order. But with early dementia, even simple routines can become confusing. You might forget how to start the coffee machine, or get halfway through a task, like doing laundry, and forget what comes next. Some people find it hard to follow a recipe they've made dozens of times. Others lose their place during a card game or can't remember the rules. These aren't just little lapses. They're signs the brain is having trouble connecting steps, remembering sequences, or staying focused through familiar activities. And that can be scary, because when daily life starts to feel unfamiliar, it's easy to feel embarrassed, frustrated, or withdrawn. But please remember, you are not alone, and the earlier you talk to someone about these changes, the more support and solutions you can find. Have you ever lost track of time or suddenly felt unsure where you were? That happens to all of us once in a while, especially when we're tired or distracted. But with dementia, this confusion goes deeper. People may forget what day it is, not just the date, but the season, the year, or even how time works. They might feel like it's morning when it's evening, or forget how long ago something happened, thinking last week was yesterday or 5 years ago was last month. Some may get lost in familiar places, even close to home, or feel unsure how they got somewhere or why they're there at all. This kind of disorientation isn't just forgetting, it's a disruption in how the brain understands the world around it. And that can feel frightening both for the person experiencing it and for their loved ones. If someone begins to lose track of time often, or becomes confused about where they are or how they got there, it's time to take it seriously, not with fear, but with care. Because recognizing these signs early can open the door to understanding, support, and hope. Sometimes dementia doesn't just affect memory or words, it changes how we see, not the eyes themselves, but how the brain interprets what the eyes are seeing. You might notice trouble judging distances, like missing a step on the stairs or having difficulty parking the car. You might struggle to read even though your vision is fine, or find it harder to tell colors apart, especially if they're similar. Some people feel unsteady when walking through crowded spaces, others bump into furniture more often, or feel confused by reflections, shadows, or patterns on the floor. It's not clumsiness, it's the brain struggling to make sense of the space around you. This can be especially dangerous while driving, where quick judgment, depth perception, and visual clarity are essential. So if reading becomes harder, if you avoid driving because it feels stressful, or if you find yourself feeling unsure on your feet, it may be more than just aging eyes. It might be a sign that your brain needs support, and as always, the sooner we notice, the better we can respond. Have you ever found yourself searching for a simple word, one you've used your whole life, and suddenly it's just gone? That happens to everyone sometimes. But with dementia, trouble with language becomes more frequent and more noticeable. You might pause in the middle of a conversation and not know how to finish the sentence. You might call things by the wrong name, like saying watch when you mean bracelet, or that thing when you can't remember the word at all. Some people begin to repeat themselves, not realizing they've already told a story. Others lose track of what someone else is saying and feel overwhelmed, even in a simple chat. Writing can become difficult too. You may forget how to spell familiar words or struggle to form a clear thought on paper. It's frustrating, because language is how we connect, how we express love, ask for help, share our thoughts and memories. And when words begin to slip away, it can feel like we're slipping away too. But please remember, this is a signal, not a sentence. There is help, there is support, and catching it early can keep those connections stronger, longer. We all misplace things from time to time. A phone, a pair of glasses, the remote. But usually we can stop, think back, and retrace our steps to find it. With dementia, that ability fades. You might place things in unusual places, like putting your keys in the freezer or your wallet in a shoe. And when something goes missing, you can't remember where you last had it or how it got there. Even worse, you may begin to feel suspicious, thinking someone took it or moved it, when really, your brain simply lost the trail. This isn't forgetfulness. It's a breakdown in how your memory connects events and locations. It's the brain's filing system going off track. And over time, it can create confusion, frustration, and even conflict with loved ones. But here's what's important to know. If you notice this happening more often, especially with important items, it's a sign worth paying attention to. Because when we understand what's happening, we can respond with care instead of blame, and that shift from confusion to compassion can make all the difference. Life is full of choices, some small, some important. But when dementia begins to affect judgment, even simple decisions can feel cloudy or risky. You might notice someone giving large amounts of money to telemarketers or falling for obvious scams. They may dress in ways that don't match the weather, like wearing a winter coat in the middle of summer, or they might stop taking care of themselves, skipping meals, ignoring hygiene, or forgetting to take medications. It's not laziness, and it's not carelessness. It's the brain's ability to weigh options, understand consequences, and make sound decisions, slowly breaking down. This kind of change can be subtle at first, maybe a few small lapses, but over time it can put a person's safety at risk, especially when they live alone or handle their own finances. So if you notice choices that seem out of character or patterns that feel unsafe, don't wait. Gently check in, ask questions, and consider talking to a healthcare professional, because small lapses in judgment could be your brain's quiet way of asking for help. We all need time alone sometimes, but when someone begins to pull away from the things they once loved, that's a sign to look closer. A person living with early dementia may start avoiding hobbies, skipping club meetings, or backing out of family gatherings. They may stop reading the newspaper, lose interest in favorite shows, or forget how to play a game they used to enjoy. Some quietly withdraw from conversations, afraid they'll forget what to say or get embarrassed if they can't follow along. Others stop going to church, work, or social events, not because they don't care, but because the effort feels too overwhelming. This kind of retreat can look like sadness, but often it's the brain struggling and the person doing their best to hide it. They may not even realize it's happening, they just don't feel like themselves. That's why it's so important to stay connected, to notice the quiet shifts, and to respond not with pressure, but with kindness and support. Because when someone begins to drift away from the world, what they need most is someone who notices and gently brings them back. One of the most misunderstood signs of dementia is a shift in how someone acts, feels, or responds to the world. You may notice someone who was always calm now becomes easily upset. Someone who was once outgoing now grows quiet, anxious, or suspicious. Or someone who was independent now clings to routines or resists even small changes. These shifts aren't just mood swings. They're signals that the brain is changing in ways that affect emotions, confidence, and connection. Some people feel depressed without knowing why. Others become fearful, confused, or even angry, especially in unfamiliar places or with unfamiliar faces. They may seem more sensitive or more withdrawn. They might accuse loved ones of things that never happened, not out of malice but out of fear. And for family and friends, this can be one of the hardest parts, because it doesn't feel like them. But deep down, they're still there, still themselves, still trying. They just need extra patience, reassurance, and love. Because dementia doesn't just affect memory, it touches every part of life. And when the personality begins to shift, that's often the heart's way of asking for help. It's natural to forget things once in a while. We all walk into a room and forget why we're there, or misplace our glasses when they're right on our head. Well, that's part of normal aging. The brain slows down a little, but it still works. Dementia is different. With normal aging, you might forget a name, but remember it later. With dementia, you forget more often, and you don't remember it at all. With normal aging, you might lose your train of thought, but you can pick it back up. With dementia, the thought disappears, and you feel lost in the moment. With aging, you might feel a little slower at problem solving. With dementia, even familiar tasks can feel impossible. The key difference is this: normal aging causes small slips that don't interfere with life. Dementia causes changes that disrupt daily routines, relationships, and confidence. And if you ever wonder whether it's aging or something more, trust your instincts. Talk to your doctor. Ask questions. Keep a journal of changes you notice, even small ones. Because when it comes to the brain, early awareness leads to early support, and early support can change everything. Here's the good news. Even though dementia can't always be reversed, there are ways to slow it down, and in many cases, small changes in your daily life can protect your brain and help you stay sharper longer. Let's take a look at a few simple, powerful habits that support brain health. First, move your body. Regular exercise improves blood flow to the brain. It strengthens memory, boosts mood, and reduces your risk of cognitive decline. You don't need to run marathons. Just a 30-minute walk each day can make a big difference. Second, eat to fuel your brain. Focus on real, whole foods. Lots of vegetables, berries, leafy greens, healthy fats like olive oil, and omega-3s from wild-caught fish. Try to cut back on processed foods, sugar, and trans fats. They can inflame the brain and speed up decline. Third, keep your mind active. Learn something new. Read a book, do a puzzle, play a game. Even small challenges done daily help keep your brain flexible and engaged. Fourth, stay socially connected. Call a friend, visit family, join a club, or attend a class. Isolation increases the risk of dementia, but relationships protect the mind and the heart. Fifth, sleep deeply. Your brain does important housekeeping while you sleep. It clears toxins, resets memory, and repairs itself. So create a peaceful bedtime routine and make sleep a priority. And finally, manage stress. Chronic stress raises cortisol, which harms memory and decision-making. Try breathing exercises, prayer, journaling, time in nature, whatever helps you feel calm and centered. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being consistent. Little by little, you can build a lifestyle that supports your brain, with every meal, every step, every quiet moment. So now you've learned the 10 key warning signs of dementia, and maybe some of them felt familiar. Maybe you've noticed them in someone you love, or maybe quietly in yourself. If that's true, please know this: you are not alone, and noticing the signs is not a reason to feel afraid, it's a reason to take action. If you or someone close to you is showing these symptoms, talk to a doctor, get a proper evaluation. There are many causes of memory loss, some temporary, some treatable, and the sooner you understand what's going on, the more options you have. Sometimes just having answers brings peace. It lets you plan ahead. It opens the door to support medical, emotional, and practical. And remember, early action can make a real difference. It's not just about slowing down symptoms. It's about preserving the life you love, the people you love, and the dignity you deserve. So stay curious, stay informed, stay kind to yourself, because brain health is not just about memory. It's about joy, freedom, connection, and the fullness of life. Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We hope today's video gave you clarity, comfort, and a sense of hope. If you found this helpful, please consider giving it a like. It lets us know you care about this topic. Share it with a friend or family member who might need it. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe. We're here to walk with you step by step through every stage of healthy aging. Your brain is working hard for you every single day, so be gentle with it, nourish it, and when needed, give it the care and attention it deserves. Until next time, stay well, stay curious, and take good care of yourself.